afraid, for I have redeemed you. I have bought you back. Something happened, you went amiss, you went askew, you went wrong, you backslid, you betrayed God, you did the things that were wrong, ignoble, terrible. He says, do not be afraid. I have redeemed you. I have bought you back. I have brought you back to that place where you were before. And he says, I have called you by your name. I love that. It's like God's not looking at me and calling me Momodu, Ismail, Charles, or even Isatu. He's calling me Francis by my name. When God calls you by your name, then ladies and gentlemen, he wants you. If God wanted Peter, he would call Peter. He doesn't look at James and call Mohammed. He doesn't look at Isatu and say Susan. He calls you by your name. And all these are building foundational blocks that give you that confident lifestyle that I said gives you assurance and confidence that's based on that experience. I know that I know that I know that I know that I am redeemed. I know that I am called by my name. I know, next thing, I am God's. Therefore, I do not fear. And he goes a step further, because I believe that as we navigate in our lives with our lofty ideals as personal goals and objectives for 2014, one quarter is almost going to end in a few weeks' time. You know, if we are taking our lives goals and expectations by quarters, then we might as well be dusting ourselves quickly, because March would soon finish in like 20-something days. And so for you to have the boldness and the confidence to walk through in March, there must be an assurance. You're standing on something. Your footing is sure. And that assurance and confidence must issue from a personal experience. In the Bible, we know the story of David and Goliath, Dawda and Goliath. He killed the giant. He didn't kill the giant because he was trying. It wasn't a trial and error business. He had done it before. His CV, his resume, his testimony was that I have killed a lion before. I have killed a bear before, so I can bring this guy down. His assurance was not his height or his age or even the dysfunctional nature of his family, that his father divided the brothers who looked like they were more promising and gave them things, enlisted them in the Israeli army. And this David, who historically looks like he was the outside child because his mother was not the wife, so he's like the stepchild, was kept with the sheep and the goats, but he was the deliverer. And there are many people like that in the Bible. Many people like that in the Bible. Shows you that God does not discriminate. He doesn't endorse error, but he doesn't discriminate. He's a God of love and mercy. And so you step up, apart from not being afraid, because God has redeemed you from where you fell, wherever you got into gridlock and inertia, from something that happened to you. He says, I have called you by your name. It's almost as if you feel sad, low, depressed, down. You know, you've done something that's terrible, and you feel that God is going to sledgehammer you, and then he calls you by your name. It's like, me? Yes, you. Don't look around. You I'm talking to. I want to use you. I need you. You are mine. What an assurance. What a confidence. I kind of think that it keeps that head that was looking down, makes it to rise up and start looking at life again and being ready to give life another shot with God's goodness. If that is so, then listen to verse 2. In verse 2, he says, when you pass through the waters. As a matter of fact, in verse 2, there are like 3 situations. When you pass through the waters, when you pass through the rivers, and when you walk through fire. The waters can drown you. The waters can overwhelm you. The waters can send you in a place where you do not want to go by their currents. The fire will burn you. The flame will scorch you. These are depictions of life's situations, trials, temptations, persecutions, hard times. situations that defy logic and empirical calculation. You cannot connect the dots. Every time you think you are solving it, the hole is getting bigger. You just do not have enough resolve to handle this. The water is rising. It's overwhelming. You're dealing with many situations than you can handle. Financial, emotional, relational, association-wise, it's just hurting you. Your health, the fires of persecution, misunderstanding, misrepresentation, the talk about you, the gossip about you, the things that just go on. It's like you're about throwing in the towel. And ladies and gentlemen, there is a key word here. It's the word when. And for me to make my point, I will make the point by saying it's not the word if. So just in case you thought life was one smooth sail with no issues, no problems, then you're really, really, really mistaken. Because each one of us can testify that life's successes are a function of battles, impossible situations, things that sometimes are outside of the power of your control, and you just do not know what to do. Sometimes you are just plain tired. Even the places you think help should come from are themselves crying for respite and assistance. So he says, when you go through the waters, when you go through the rivers, when you walk through the fire. In other words, even God himself has budgeted and wants you to know that in life you will go through the fire, the waters, the rivers, they will come. Another word that's key and operative in your understanding how to put this whole thing together is not just the word when. It's also the word through. Ladies and gentlemen, you cannot come out on the other end of any situation without having a through mentality, a through mindset. I am going through. The waters are not supposed to be your grave and your cemetery, and I'll stand there and I'll just be in the fire crying and shouting, God deliver me from persecution, God deliver me from temptation. I know people don't like me, I know they gossip about me, they are misrepresenting me, they are writing on Facebook, they are tweeting, they are kicking, they are Instagramming, they are Vibering, they are Skyping, they are emailing, they are texting, they are calling. No, no, no. You must have a through mentality. You must have a through mindset. You must have a through paradigm. Ladies and gentlemen, if I take off my glasses and put on blue goggles, everything I see thereafter would be tainted blue. So if you do not have a through spectacle, lens, paradigm, perspective, outlook, worldview, then when you go through a situation, you will give up, you will quit, you will throw your arms up in the air, and guess what? The fire will destroy you, the flames will scorch you, and the waters will overwhelm you. But even though he says when, it is a through. And if you are familiar with the Bible or the Psalms, you now understand why David said, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, whatever that is, the valley of the shadow of death, he says, I will fear no evil because God is with me. He didn't say even if I dwell and live and cry and ask everybody to pick me up and bring me food. You must have a through mentality. Ladies and gentlemen, every trial, every temptation, every betrayal, every persecution, all hard times, read my lips, they have an expiration date. They come to pass. They do not come to stay. So as I'm speaking like this, by the goodness and the grace and the mercy of God, in the next almost 9 months, we would hit 31st December. And by God's mercy and grace and by our good choices, I will be here, you will be here. And it's like, wow, but I remember how it was difficult in January. I had to renew my car license and the taxation and the VAT and the this. But you are in April, you are in July. I remember school fees, you are in December. Why? Because it's a through. The waters of January must not drown us. The waters of February must not drown us. So when you go through them, waters of fires, what is the assurance?